Hello and welcome to NestEgGuru. In this short clip, we are going to show you how one simple decision rule may significantly improve the likelihood of your nest egg lasting through a long retirement. To begin, let's enter a good basic model illustration using NestEggGuru's retirement spending calculator. For those of you who are not familiar with NestEggGuru, the input portion of the app consists of 11 factors over which the retiree has at least some degree of control. The user enters his or her inputs and the application then runs 5,000 simulations representing a broad spectrum of potential investment outcomes to give the user a sense of what he or she may expect. In evaluating their preparedness, users are encouraged to focus on the bottom half of the results so as to hope for the best but plan for the worst. After running the application, using their current actual input data, users are encouraged to test how changing the factors that are within their control may impact their results. We will use the following basic inputs as our baseline. First, we will assume a 30-year time horizon. Next, we will assume an initial retirement nest egg value of $1 million. For our initial withdrawal amount, we will assume a 5% initial withdrawal rate or $50,000 per year. Since the cost of living is not expected to remain constant, let's also assume that we give ourselves a 3% annual inflation adjustment. At this point, some of you may be thinking, a 5% inflation adjusted withdrawal rate over a 30-year time horizon seems a little high. Bear with me. For the next input, although NestEggGuru permits users to account for future increases or decreases in the withdrawal amounts, for the purposes of this illustration, we will assume that our initial 5% inflation adjusted withdrawal rate remains as is through the 30-year time horizon. For this illustration, we will also assume that our portfolio's asset allocation is a default setting of 60% stocks, 30% bonds, and 10% cash. We will also assume that the detailed equity allocation matches the default setting of 45% large cap, 30% mid and small cap, and 25% international. For the bond portion of the portfolio, NestEggGuru permits users to account for the current historic low interest rate environment by entering a constant fixed rate of return that reflects the current yield one could expect to earn. For this exercise, the default rate of 2% roughly reflects the rate on a 5-year CD or the 10-year Treasury, so we will keep that. We will assume that the cash portion of the portfolio earns nothing. To make the application more realistic, NestEggGuru also allows users to account for the impact of investment expenses. In this illustration, we will keep the default setting of 1% total investment fees and expenses. The final input requires users to choose a withdrawal strategy. Nearly all other retirement calculators assume that the users withdraw proportionately from each asset class each year and rebalance annually to maintain the initial broad allocation over time. In the first run, we will assume the same. Now let's hit the Submit button to see our results. For those of you who are astute and experienced enough to be concerned about a 5% inflation adjusted withdrawal rate, as you can see, your fears were well placed. In this illustration, our retirement nest egg was depleted before the 30-year time horizon 70% of the time. In fact, if we scroll down to see the full results, we will see that in the bottom 10% of the simulations, the portfolio was depleted in as little as 20 years. Not good, you say? Well, these results certainly might make one a little bit worried, but let's just see what happens if we change one single retirement factor. For this illustration, let's just see what happens when we switch our retirement income withdrawal strategy from annual rebalancing to a strategy in which we do not rebalance and instead simply spend down the cash and bond portion of the portfolio first. As you can see, this one little factor adjustment has changed the results from a 70% portfolio failure rate to an 82% success rate over the 30-year retirement horizon. It is for this reason that how one chooses to spend down one's retirement savings is so important. It is also worth noting that this result is consistent with the findings of a number of research papers that have appeared in peer-reviewed academic and professional journals in recent years. It is worth noting that nearly all other retirement planning applications that are available to consumers and financial advisors automatically assume that proportional withdrawals with automatic annual rebalancing is an efficient withdrawal strategy. We hope you found this tutorial to be enlightening. NestEgg Guru, Enlightened Retirement Planning.